Hi, this will be a demo for the proofs paper, establishing image provenance using semantic signatures. Currently, I have a local server running which will be communicating with this app for signing and later a Chrome extension for verification. When I launched the app for the first time, the app and the server exchanged public keys, and the server registered this device in its database using a unique identifier. Every subsequent communication with this device will use this unique identifier. Next, we simply take a picture of a group of people with clearly visible faces using the open camera button. However, for the purposes of this demo and due to COVID restrictions, I'll simply be loading an image from a public dataset. This is only for the demo, and typically only pictures taken on the device will be in play. Next, when I press the Store, Sign, and Send button, the device will sign the image with its private key and send it over to the server. The server will then verify that the image came from the device using the public key it has for the device. Once that is done, it will extract a feature vector for each face and sign them using its private key and return both of these back to the app. That is both the sign and the feature vectors. The app will encode both of these in the EXIF metadata for the image and store the image as a whole in the file system on the device. For the next part, And to clarify, this is where the image was stored. For the next part, I will transfer the image over to my computer and make different modifications to it in order to see how our system will deal with it. I'd like to add that in addition to storing the feature vector for each face and the signature, we also store the position of each face in form of bounding boxes. Now, the verification is done by a Chrome extension, which communicates with the aforementioned server, with the idea that when we right-click on an image and click Verify Image, it sends the image over to the server, which then relays back any relevant information to the Chrome extension, which displays it. Now, any image that has not been signed by the server will be indicated as such by the verifier. And this, of course, is done by checking for the existence of the expected metadata. And even if the metadata exists, we ensure that it was indeed signed by the server. Now over here, I have prepared 4 variants of the image we saw before, and they have been modified by these values. And the server that I'm talking about is running in this terminal window here. Now this first image is exactly the same in that it has not been modified since it was signed by the server. When we verify it, this is confirmed. Now, note that this was done by when this image was sent over to the server, we detected the individual faces in the image, extracted the feature vectors, and then compared them with the feature vectors that were stored in the metadata for the image. Now, this next image obviously has been edited. We have modified the color, contrast, and brightness as per these factors. And in addition to that, we've also scaled the image up slightly by this factor, moved it to the right by this these many pixels, and moved it up by these many pixels. Now, this is what we would consider a benign edit, because it is in the realm of what one would conceivably do when they were simply using an image editing software in a harmless manner. Now, when we verify it, we get a little more information as to what was done. So we get the faces in the original image, which is 8, which is indeed correct. There are 8 images in the original image. This was extracted from the metadata. And the faces in the modified image comes to 6, which is because note that the 2 faces were cut off, one which was a woman over here, and a man whose chin is visible, so the face could not be detected. This is the woman, this is the man in the original image. Now, using these corresponding pairs of faces, we can also calculate the transformation that was applied. And we can also see that this is reasonably close to what was actually applied. It's off by maybe 1 pixel in some cases. And yeah, so over here, we've also seen that the missing faces in the modified image were classified as benign, the two of them, which is, again, the man and the woman. And moving on to the image over here, we see different color coding. So the blue boxes indicate all the faces that were detected in the modified image. So that comes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which it says over here. And the white boxes indicate the boxes that were present in the original image transformed by this predicted transformation. Essentially, the white boxes can be thought of as where the original images would be. Now, let's move on to the other image, which, in addition to some benign transformations, has also been maliciously edited. A first example would be this woman whose face has been edited out. And this one would consider malicious because clearly she's in the image, but we have made it so this is meant to stand, even though it is done rather crudely, this is meant to stand in for if someone meticulously photoshopped this woman out and made it undetectable, made it seem like she was never there, our pipeline would handle it exactly the same as if this were the case. And over here, we see a man who's a new man who's been grafted onto the same face, the position where the old man was. And the idea is that this patch over here has been adversarially perturbed so that it can attack the features in a model in order to make it think that this is the same person, even though a human can tell that this is clearly a different person. But this should not be a problem since we've trained our model to be robust against these things. So when we verify this image, we see that yes, over here, in addition to the basic information, we see that a new face was added in the modified image, which was not present in the original image, this was correctly classified as malicious. This is this face over here. And over here, we see another missing face in the modified image, which was benign, which is probably which is talking about this child over here. As we can see, there's no blue box here, which means it wasn't detected in the transformed image. And then next, we see that the missing faces in the modified image were classified as malicious. So this face over here is missing in the modified image, but it was in the original image. Note that this face here was not detected in the transformed image, but since we had the metadata, we compared the feature vector for this person's face with every face that was detected in the transformed image. And from that, the algorithm concluded that this person must have been cropped out. Now, lastly, we can move on to this example here, where in addition to the benign transformations, we also have swapped the faces of two people in the image. Now, when we verify this, we get the basic information, the number of people in the image. Again, the woman is cropped out, so it's only 7. We get the transformation, which again is very close to what the actual transformation was. And then we get missing faces in the modified image, which was classified as benign. Again, it's a woman. And then over here, we get swapped faces in the modified image, which was classified as malicious. And there are indeed 2 faces. This face was swapped with this face. And this is done by simply comparing the relative positions of the faces in the transformed image with the relative positions of the faces in the metadata using the bounding boxes. And if a disparity exists, we simply compare the feature vectors of each face to see where the disparity occurs. All right, that will be all. Thank you.